don't suppose that he... Nora, go into the other room. Yes?
Registered letter for Mrs. Helmer.
Oh, I'll take it. Yeah, thank you.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, good night. It's from Krogstad. For you. No, I'll open it myself. Nora. Nora, No, I can't believe it. But it's true. It's true. Nora, you're saved. You're saved.
That, you will remember, is one of the most crucial and dramatic moments in Henrik Ibsen's A Doll's House. But did you notice something odd about that scene? What about Torvald's last lines?
You're saved.
As a matter of fact, those lines are from Ibsen's first draft of the play. In the final version, Torvald says,
Nora, I'm saved. I'm saved.
What about me?
Now why, in the last draft of the play, did Ibsen change Torvald's lines from "you are saved" to "I am saved"? In his journals, Ibsen wrote,
"In the first draft of a play, I feel that I know my characters as one knows people one has chatted with on a train. With the next draft, I know them as though after a few weeks of their company at a vacation resort. In the last draft, I know them from long and close association. They will not surprise me. I will always see them as I see them now."
Ibsen and Chekhov had much in common. Both were innovators of the realistic drama. In the plays of each man, we feel that the characters have life stories behind them before they ever appear on the stage. It is this that contributes to the intense reality of Ibsen's plays. His characters are always, so to speak, in character. As Ibsen got to know Torvald better, he realized that he could never have said to Nora, "You are saved." Indeed, if he'd been capable of saying this, would Nora have left him? A Doll's House was a revolutionary play. When it was first presented in the theaters of Europe in the 1880s, it leapt across the footlights and shocked people, disturbed them, confused their notions of right and wrong. Who, for example, is the hero? Is it Torvald? And what about Nora? Is she the heroine? And Niels Krogstad, is he the villain? Before Ibsen, every well-made play had to have sharply delineated central characters who lived on the highest plane of morality, whose motivations were never base or ignoble. And the villain, of course, was the villain. In A Doll's House, it is true, Torvald's actions can be defended as those of a model husband and father, a businessman of impeccable honesty. He is, as he says, literally sickened by dishonesty. And yet, what is the underlying reason for his firing of Niels Krogstad?
Nora, there's another reason I have to fire Krogstad.
What's that?
Well, in a pinch, I might have overlooked his past.
I'm sure you could, Tor.
And I'm told he's not bad at his job either. But, well, as you know, we knew each other rather well when we were younger. Yeah, it was one of those college friendships that prove embarrassing in later life. Yeah, we were once pretty close. But now, in his completely tactless way, he thinks he has every right to treat me as a perfect equal. Especially when other people are present. Every time he opens his mouth, it's Tor this and Tor old buddy that. It's extremely irritating. Well, he'd make my position at the bank impossible.
Tor, surely you can't be serious.
Hmm? Hmm? Why not?
Well, it's all so petty.
And petty, it goes without saying, an old-fashioned hero simply cannot be. So we must look elsewhere for truly heroic stature in A Doll's House. What about Nora herself? According to her lights, she has acted nobly. She has saved her husband's life. And yet, what is her reaction when she learns that she now has a great deal of power over another human being?
What are you laughing at?
Oh, not at you, Eric. Something quite different. Something awfully funny. Tell me, are all the people who work at the bank dependent on Tor now?
Is that what you find so awfully funny?
Never mind. Never mind. But it really is awfully amusing to think that Tor now has power over so many people. Eric, have a chocolate. Christine? I'm so happy. So happy. There's just one little thing that I'd like to do now.
Oh?
There's just one little thing I'd like to say to Tor.
And what is that?
I'd like to say, Tor, my darling, I'll be damned.
The truth is, of course, that there are no villains, no heroes in Ibsen's world, or in Chekhov's for that matter. There are only people, as in real life. For it was real life that Ibsen was interested in. Essentially, what he tried to do, and what every realistic playwright since has tried to do, was to capture on the stage the look, the sound, the character of people as they are, in their offices, on street corners, in their homes. To help him do this, he surrounded his stage figures with lamps they could light when twilight fell, fireplaces in which real fires could burn, sofas and chairs his characters could recline on, carpets on the floor, doors they could slam as Nora did, and outside the window, beyond the real Christmas tree with real presents beneath it, snow falling in the garden on cue. These things are commonplace in stage productions now. In fact, literal realism of this kind is rather old-fashioned. But more important, it was the least profound part of the revolution of which Ibsen was a leader. The really startling change wrought by him in the theater was heralded by a deceptively simple line of dialogue.
Now, Tor, sit down. We have a lot to talk about.
And now, Tor, sit down. We have a lot to talk about. Not a particularly brilliant line, but in the context Ibsen placed it, the last 10 minutes or so of A Doll's House, it announced a new order of playwriting, a new school of dramatic art. Bernard Shaw, a great admirer of Ibsen, put it this way. Before Ibsen, every well-made play consisted of Act 1, exposition, Act 2, the situation, Act 3, the unraveling. After Ibsen, the structure became Act 1, exposition, Act 2, the situation, Act 3, discussion. Act 3, discussion. Does that sound dull? It can be, of course, in the hands of a mediocre playwright, but in Ibsen's plays, the discussion reaches a high dramatic level. The drama emerges from a conflict of ideas, a serious confrontation between human beings, not between hero and villain. In Ibsen's plays, you will remember, there are no such animals. And in the same way, there is no simple presentation of right and wrong. As Ibsen himself said,
A dramatist's business is not to answer questions, but merely to ask them.
well then, what are the questions that Ibsen raises in A Doll's House? What is its theme? Is it a play about women's rights? A piece of propaganda for or against the emancipation of women? Here is a short scene from the earlier version of the play.
But, Christine, what does it really mean, being guilty? It seems to me that the law is unjust. It's easy to see that it was made by men.
Ah, so you've started taking up the question of women's rights?
Women's rights? No, that doesn't worry me in the least.
Now that scene was, as I said, from an earlier version of A Doll's House. And Ibsen cut it, I feel certain, because he did not wish to identify his theme with such a specific topical subject as the emancipation of women. What is the theme, then, of A Doll's House? I think we can find a clue to one of the themes in these lines.
But Nora, I don't understand you.
That's just it. You've never understood me. Neither you nor my father have ever understood me.
But what are you talking about? The two people who loved you more than anyone in the world?
No, you never loved me. You only thought how nice it was to be in love with me.
Throughout Ibsen's plays, from first to last, is a recurring thesis, never obviously stated, but there nevertheless. It is the idea that the only tragedy in the human condition, the only final wrong that can be committed, the worst crime against another human being, is the denial of love. And this theme is closely interwoven with another, which we find stated forcefully in the earlier draft of the play.
Nora, what do you mean? I never loved you. Your father never loved you?
No, neither of you did. When I was a little girl, about 4 or 5, my father said that I had a remarkable talent for French. And he made me learn long passages by heart. Later, he said I had a rare gift for writing poetry. So I wrote poetry. But I had no real desire to learn French or write poetry. And yet I believed I did because Daddy said so. He told me all his opinions, and I had the same opinions. And if I thought differently, I kept quiet about it. He called me his doll, and he played with me, just as I played with my dolls. And then I came to you, Tor.
Came to me? What kind of way is that to talk about marriage?
What I mean is, I went out of Daddy's hands into yours. You didn't like French and you didn't like poetry, but you liked music and the theater. And so I developed the same tastes. Or I pretended I did. I don't really know which. The point is, I became your doll wife as I had been my father's doll child. It's your fault, Tor, that I have never become a real person.
A real person. If Nora's father and husband had really loved her, she now believes, they would have respected her importance as an individual human being. And that is the second and related theme recurring in all of Ibsen's plays. The supreme importance of the individual character, of personality. This, of course, was something that those closest to Nora had never granted her, the right to be herself. But Nora did not realize this until almost too late. In fact, she enjoyed being petted and spoiled. She enjoyed her doll's house existence until, as we saw in the first film, her illusions were destroyed and she came face to face with herself. A Doll's House, even today, can be a disturbing experience on the stage. It doesn't soothe the audience. It's not a play for tired businessmen. It gives us an unvarnished glimpse, really, of ourselves. Other playwrights before Ibsen had shown us ourselves on the stage, but there was a difference. Bernard Shaw put it this way.
When Ibsen began to make plays, the art of the dramatist had shrunk into the art of contriving an unusual situation. Ibsen saw that, on the contrary, the more familiar the situation, the more interesting the play. Shakespeare had put ourselves on the stage, but not our situations. Ibsen supplied the want left by Shakespeare. He gives us not only ourselves, but ourselves in our own situations. The things that happen to his stage figures are things that happen to us.
And what happens to Nora, and thus to us, is a shattering experience. To realize just how shattering it is, we must recall momentarily the charming wife and mother of the first act.
Isn't it wonderful to think that at last I've got such a fine job, huh? With such a big, fat salary. Isn't that wonderful? Just to think about, huh?
Oh, it's marvelous, darling. It's absolutely marvelous.
Do you remember last Christmas? Just 3 weeks before, we...
Oh, there must be the children.
Oh, I'd better get back to work. I have some things to finish up. And with the children here, this place will only be fit for a mother.
Now, compare that idealized picture with this one.
But Nora, you've never been happy here?
No, not really. I thought I was, but I wasn't.
Not happy?
No. Just frivolous. You've always been kind to me, Tor. But our house is nothing but a playroom. I thought it was fun when you played with me, just as the children think it's fun when I play with them. But that's been our marriage, Tor.
Well, there is some truth in what you say, but it's exaggerated. And from now on, things will be different. Playtime is over. Now comes the time for lessons.
Whose lessons, mine or the children's?
Well, both yours and the children's, darling.
Oh, Tor, you're not the man to teach me how to become a good wife.
Nora, how can you say that?
And as for the children, how can I teach them anything?
Nora!
You said yourself just a moment ago that you couldn't trust me with them.
Well, I was angry when I said that. You should have paid no attention to it.
On the contrary, Tor, you were quite right. I am not up to it.
I am not up to it. That simple line of Nora's is, in my opinion, one of the most poignant in dramatic literature. Here is a human being, she might be, for all her intense reality, our next-door neighbor, who has been forced to look at herself, and she finds nothing about herself to like or admire. In fact, she has come to the truly terrifying realization that she does not know what she thinks about anything, except to know that she is not a real person, but a doll-like creation of other people. In short, she does not know who she is. And so, with all her illusions about herself destroyed, she must now try to become someone, no matter what the cost.
But Nora, this is insane. What, to leave your home, your husband and your children? Nora, don't you realize that you're betraying your most sacred duty?
What do you consider my most sacred duty?
Do I have to tell you that? Your duty to me and to the children.
I have another duty just as sacred as you put it.
And what can that be?
My duty to myself.
Your duty to... Look, Nora, first and foremost, you are a wife, then a mother.
I don't believe that anymore, Tor. I believe that before all else, I'm an individual. A human being just as you are. Or at least that I should try to become one. I know that most people would agree with you that my first duty is to you and the children. That's certainly what they say in books and in women's magazines. But I can no longer be satisfied with what most people say or what they write in books. I have to think things out for myself.
But Nora, well, surely your place in the home is obvious. Doesn't religion give you an answer to that?
Religion? Tor, I don't even know what religion is.
Nora, how can you say that?
No, I know what the minister told me when I was confirmed. He said that religion was this, that, and the other thing. And I'm going to have to think about that. I have to find out whether what he taught me is right. Or whether it's right for me, at least.
This is incredible. Well, if religion can't help you, surely you have a conscience. Have you no sense of morals? Of right and wrong?
That's a very difficult question to answer. I don't know. I'm really confused. All I know is that your ideas about such things are very different from mine. I also know that the law is quite different from what I had imagined it to be. And I find it hard to believe that the law is right.
Nora, you talk like a child. You have no understanding of the society you live in.
Oh, that's just the point. I haven't, and I've got to get an understanding. I have to find out who is right, society or me.
Look, Nora, you're ill, you're delirious. Now let me call the
No, I've
doc-
never felt so calm and collected as I do tonight.
But calm and collected enough to leave your husband and your children?
Yes.
Nora, you talk and think like a stupid child.
Perhaps. But you neither think nor talk like the man that I want to go on sharing my life with. When you were no longer frightened, and you were only concerned about yourself, you were never concerned about me. When all the danger was past, you acted as though nothing had happened. I was your little rabbit again, your little doll, exactly as before. Only now you would have to protect me even more, now that I had shown how weak and fragile I was. Tor, that was the moment I realized that for 8 years I have been living with a stranger. And I had had 3 children by him. I can't bear to think about it. I could tear myself into little pieces.
Yes, I see. I see there's a tremendous gulf between us. But Nora, is there no way we can bridge that gulf?
As I am now, I am no wife for you. I believe that, Tor.
Yes, but I can change.
Perhaps, if your doll is taken away.
And to be separated from you, even the thought of it is impossible.
All the more reason it must happen.
Look, Nora, stay till the morning.
I can't spend another night here. I don't want to see the children. As I am now, I can never be anything to them.
But someday, surely someday, Nora.
How can I tell? How do I know what sort of person I'll become?
Nora, you'll never think of me?
Of course I'll think of you. Often. Of you and the children in this house.
May I write to you?
No, you mustn't, please.
But you let me send you.
No, nothing.
Nora, you let me help you.
No. I can't accept anything from a stranger.
Must I always be a stranger to you?
I'm afraid so. Unless something were to happen. The most wonderful thing of all.
What do you mean?
Unless we were both to change so that... Oh, Tor, I no longer believe in miracles.
Well, tell me. Let me believe. Unless we were both to change so that
so that our life together might really be a marriage. Goodbye, Tor.
Nora.
And so the charming wife and mother walks out of her beautiful suburban home, leaving her handsome, successful husband, her 3 lovely children, to find herself. Was this a selfish decision on Nora's part, a silly one? Was she an unnatural mother, or a fearless woman determined to become a human being? Does the ending shock you? Would you rather the play ended differently? Very well, here is another ending. Also, surprisingly enough, from Ibsen's pen.
Goodbye, Tor.
All right, Nora, goodbye. But before you leave, you're going to see the children for the last time.
Oh, no, Tor, I can't see them.
Oh, yes, you can. And you will. Look, Nora. Look. There they are. Asleep. Peaceful. Not a care in the world. Tomorrow morning, they're going to wake up. And they're going to call for you.
Oh, God. It's a sin against myself. But I can't leave them. I can't leave them.
Oh, Nora. Nora.
Do you like that ending better? Before you make up your mind, I suggest that you read the play again. And I also suggest that you think about Ibsen's opinion of this ending, even though he wrote it. It was, he said,
a barbaric outrage.